Amazon just launched a golf ball, and it is too cheap to ignore. For $24 for 2 dozen golf balls, American, okay? $29.43 here in Canada. You're paying $1 a golf ball in the US, you're paying $1.20 per golf ball in Canada. It is just too cheap to ignore, and we had to put it through the paces. So I tested it in the simulator, I tested it on the course, and we're gonna give you all the data today to see how it stacks up, and if this is gonna be of incredible value to us golfers, because sometimes you just need cheap golf balls to launch into oblivion, and I think these might be perfect for that. So first thing, in an effort to keep things cheap, packaging is very cheap, and I appreciate that. You know what? If you're gonna sell me cheap golf balls, I don't need all the frilly things. Don't tell me about the performance. Give me nothing. Give me a plain cardboard box, which is what they did. They just slapped the Amazon tracking thing on there. I tried to peel it off to see if it gave me any information about the golf ball. It really didn't. But it just comes to you very simple. The next thing is like the actual sleeves of the golf ball. So you get, your 4 sleeves per pack, and it is just a plain white box, which again, I appreciate. Keep the cost down. If I'm gonna buy a cheap golf ball, I don't wanna have to spend more money on packaging. I don't care. I wanna hit these into the woods. I don't need fancy packaging to do that. So I appreciate this. Then, if you actually take a look at the golf ball itself, it's pretty cool. It looks actually a lot better than I thought it would. It kind of reminds me of like a Callaway Super Soft kind of feel. Like the cover is quite shiny. It comes also in a yellow as well, so if there's the high visibility version. It's a low compression golf ball. It says on the website, I've listed the features here. I would say this is probably very similar to a Callaway Super Soft, would be my gut instinct. Again, not knowing much about these, just from my first initial kind of look, that's what it is. But as you can hear, very soft, and you will see that through the testing. These are incredibly soft golf balls. So from a first impression standpoint, honestly, it looks great. It doesn't feel like overly cheap in terms of the golf ball itself, but I appreciate the cheap packaging to drive the cost down. Now, ultimately, does it perform well enough that we can put it in play? So I brought it into the simulator and I tested it against a Pro V1 because that's what everyone knows. It's not the ball I use, but it's just the industry standard, so it'll just make comparing the numbers a little easier for you to manage. So the first shot I tested it with was a 50-yard kind of nippy shot, right? This is just to see control. And the glaring thing off the hop is spin, because what you don't expect from a cheap golf ball is premium spin around the greens. And that's what we see here. There is a pretty significant spin difference between the Pro V1 and the Amazon golf ball. And that's just a result of, again, it's not necessarily a premium cover. It's probably only dual layer. That's just what it is. Now, when I hit it, it felt incredibly soft. It felt good off the face, and I actually brought it outside and hit some shots around the green. And again, do I feel like I have as much control as I do with my more premium golf ball? No. But can I play golf with it? Absolutely. And so again, for the price, yeah, you can play golf with that. It's totally fine. Then I brought it up to a 100-yard shot, because again, want to gauge spin, want to gauge control with wedges. As you start to kind of give it a little more speed, what happens? And again, it's about a 1,200 RPM difference in spin between the Pro V1 versus the Core Soft. And that's, again, to be expected. Ball speed was the same, and that was actually kind of cool. The other thing I did notice was that the Core Soft did launch a little higher, and you can see it here in the data. It's about 2 degrees higher in terms of launch, so it launched higher with less spin. And then dispersion-wise, it was a little more wild. You could see, my Pro V1 dispersion a little tighter, which is in the blue, and everything you see here, guys, blue is the Pro V1, and red is the Amazon ball, which I realized I screwed up because Amazon colors are blue, and so I apologize. That's just my bad. But as you can see from the dispersion, the Pro V1 just, again, is a little tighter, which is to be expected. But could I play golf with this? Yeah, I could play golf with this. The next one we moved up to is pitching wedge. So this is about a 145-yard shot for me. And again, spin is the big difference. There's about a 800 RPM difference between the Pro V1 and the Amazon, which again, to be expected, right? There's 1 mile per hour more ball speed with the Pro V1. Launch was actually the same with this, which I thought was interesting. And then if you look at dispersion, again, similar story. The Pro V1 is just tighter, and the misses with this are just a little more wild. So if I was gonna play a competitive round, this is where I start to go, okay, if I'm trying to score this dispersion might give me a little bit of hesitation, right? Now, next up is we have 7 irons, about 180-ish yard shot for me. Again, another big glaring thing is spin. About 1,200 RPM difference here. Ball speed was about another mile per hour of ball speed. There was also about 2 degrees difference in launch, but the most glaring difference, and this is where the spin started to get a little more magnified, there was a 9-yard carry difference between this and the Pro V1. And it's just because I could feel it off the face. It was so soft that when I really hit one, it went. My spin rate here, I only had 1 ball spin above 5,000 with my 7 iron, which is just tough to control, but if you crunch one, it is going to fly on you. And that leads to, if you look at the dispersion, the Amazon ball, just a little wider dispersion, just a little more sketchy, okay? Could I play golf with it? Yeah, I could play golf with it. If I was gonna play in a scramble and I needed to nuke the ball, and I just got to be the fun guy, absolutely hammering it, perfect. Probably would be a great ball for that, just to see what would happen. Now let's move into the 4 iron. Okay, so with the 4 iron, this is, again, very interesting and very similar story. 4,000 RPM with the Pro V1 and 3,300 RPM-ish with the Amazon ball. So a 700 RPM difference and about a 2 mile per hour ball speed difference, which as you start to hit the ball harder, that's gonna be more important. Launch was 2 degrees, so there was, again, you're launching it higher with this, which I guess if you struggle with launch, that can work. This only had a 5-yard carry difference versus my 7 irons. I think with the spin being a little closer, I just didn't see as glaring of a difference, whereas with my 7, when it just felt like it was popping off the face and going significantly further. All right, now driver. Now unfortunately, I cracked my driver recently, so I didn't have my driver with me. I had to borrow a buddy. So take these numbers with a slight grain of salt, because this wasn't my club that I'm used to hitting. What I kind of expected from this was a bit of an inverse from what I saw with the irons and wedges. Typically, with a cheaper ball, you're gonna see less spin and performance off the irons, and then you're gonna see more spin off the driver and less speed. And that's exactly what we saw here. Now, the spin difference wasn't incredibly drastic, but I did get one of the Amazon balls over 3,000 RPM, and my lowest ball with the Amazon ball was 2,300. So, about 200 RPMs difference in spin, about a 3 mile per hour ball speed difference, but there was a 9-yard difference in carry. And you'll see also with dispersion, which again, take it with a grain of salt because this wasn't my rig. The one thing I did notice with the Amazon ball is that I just started losing way more to the right than I did with the Pro V1. Pro V1, if anything, I was able to hit it kind of straighter or slight pull. And with the Amazon ball, it just kept kind of soft and to the right, soft and to the right. So all in all, none of this is necessarily shocking data, right? Something you'd expect from a non-premium golf ball is that it's going to spin a little less and not maybe perform as well off the irons, and then it might not give you that extra pop you're looking off the driver. Now, if you're someone that puts a lot of spin on your irons, maybe this could work for you. Maybe actually having a little less spin might work. For someone like me, I tend to strip spin off the ball, so I actually need something that can pick up a couple more RPMs, otherwise I start to lose control. But again, for the price, there's nothing glaring in here where I go, don't buy this. There's just no reason not to evaluate this as a potential purchase. It's just too cheap to not try, right? And then that leads me to, okay, putting. I brought it outside, took some putts with it, and it feels great. It feels super soft, even off the irons and everything. It just feels super soft. It doesn't feel premium, but it doesn't feel bad. And off the irons, when you really hit one, it feels like butter, because it's just, there's nothing to it. As you can see, if I bounce it off the counter here, it's it's not making a ton of noise, right? So it's good to go. What I do find interesting though is that, again, I took it out and also hit some wedges into greens, and I did notice that a couple shots where I clipped it pretty good, and this ball would have landed and pulled back, and it kind of landed and released. And especially with the greens being wet today, that just wouldn't happen. So if you're somebody that's looking for a little bit of control and some check with your golf ball, you're just not gonna get that with this. But again, it's just too cheap to ignore. It's too cheap to ignore. And durability. So if I look at the golf ball, this is the one that I used for the test. There's just a slight scuff to it, but it's good. like for the price. You know, if you just are looking to have a golf ball that you just load up in your bag, not have to care, and just hit it as hard and as far as you want, why not? It feels great off the putter, feels great off the wedges. It performs good enough. It's not doing anything that I'm like, oh, I couldn't get around a golf course. Would I necessarily put this in play if I was competing? No. But if I'm playing for fun and I just want something cheap and I don't want to care, 100%. Where I see myself buying these is that here in the Pacific Northwest, when we play kind of golf from now all through the winter, it is like soggy conditions and there's a ton of leaves, and I don't want to hit my premium golf balls all the time because I don't want to lose them in the leaves or if they get embedded. This is a perfect substitute. I used to buy Noodles or Titleist Truefields, but for this price point, why wouldn't I just buy this and play these in the winter? So all in all, I think these are too cheap to ignore. For 24 golf balls, $1 a golf ball, this is just crazy value. And for contrast, in Canada, right, we pay $50 for 24 of the Kirkland golf balls, which is still good value. But to pay $29 Canadian, so $1.20 a golf ball for 24 golf balls. Golf is so expensive. Sometimes you just need a golf ball that you don't have to care about. You can put it in play, get around, and just have a good time. I think this is great. They haven't wasted any money on the excess packaging. They haven't wasted on anything that doesn't matter. And this is a golf ball that can get you around and just, it does what it needs to do. Okay? Would I put it in play to compete? No. Would I put it in play to have fun? Absolutely. And I think that is a huge win. So let me know in the comments below what your thoughts are on the golf ball. Let me know if you have any questions. I appreciate you watching. Like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.